Hey you guys, and welcome to my channel. This is my very first video that I'll be uploading to my channel, and if you haven't subscribed, take the time to subscribe now. Go down there and hit that subscribe button. That way you'll be following my page, and also hit the bell button. That way when I upload, you guys will be in on the loop. You'll get a notification every single time I post, and I'll be posting every single Saturday, bring y'all some content every single Saturday. So stay tuned on Saturdays, y'all. I just want to do a little bit about me really quick. I am a mother of two. I have a 2-year-old daughter and I have a 1-year-old son. He was blessed with an extra chromosome. If you guys don't know what that means, he was born with Down syndrome. And I'm also a wife. I'm 23 years old and I got married at 20 years old. Yes, I got married at 20 years old. So I got a lot going on and I'm young. And so over the past years, I've gotten DMs and messages asking for advice on questions related to motherhood, or how I'm doing it so young, or how I'm managing everything so young as far as my marriage, how I knew my husband was the one. I've also gotten questions on my faith and my walk with God. I just receive a lot of questions from young women who want to know more, or maybe just, are on the same path or journey. So I want to really be transparent with you guys. I want to really be open and just real about my experiences and what I've been through, and what, I can offer to help, other young women. So yeah, just gonna get right into this video. It's about postpartum depression. Yeah, and it's not an easy subject to talk about. Sometimes it's taboo because it can bring feelings of shame. It can bring feelings of maybe guilt or like embarrassment. You don't want anyone to know that you've been through this. You don't kind of just want to keep it to yourself. You might feel like people, well, if I tell them this, that I may be judged, but it's really not really talked about, and we may not even realize that we're going through it. I know from my own personal experience, I did not realize that I was going through postpartum depression until maybe like 2 months after having my baby, after having my daughter. So I'm just going to share with you guys my experience with postpartum depression, and I'm also going to share with you guys 5 signs that may indicate that you or somebody could be going through postpartum depression, and some tips that helped me out during this time and helped me to just beat the postpartum depression. So my experience with it was, I was pregnant with my daughter in 2016. I was due October 8th, and she decided to come on October 5th, so a few days early. And I went into the hospital and I was planning this extra perfect birth, and it's going to be a vaginal birth, and nothing is going to go wrong, and I'm just going to bond with my baby and everything. And it went probably like the total opposite of what I planned. So I think that that's what contributed to my postpartum depression as well. It just wasn't the experience that I had planned or was looking forward to. So I began to, get discouraged about that. But long story short, I couldn't push my daughter out. She was really big. She was almost 10 pounds. She was 9 pounds and 6 ounces. She was a big baby, and so I just personally don't think I would have been able to push her out. So she was big, and I was at 9 centimeters dilated, guys. Like, I was there. They saw her head. They told me to push, but I just could not. And then her heart rate started dropping. My OB said it to me in the words just like this. He said, "Monay, sweetie, we're going to have to do a C-section." I said, no, this is not a part of my plan, so the whole room got silent. My family, they tried to encourage me, but from there I just felt my spirit drop. I just was discouraged, and it also ended up being a traumatic experience for me with the C-section. Since it was an emergency C-section, the medicine that they gave to numb me didn't numb me all the way. And as they began the surgery, they said, if you can feel anything, tell us. And I was trying to express to someone like, hey, this is sharp. That's all I could say at the moment because I was under such heavy medication. All I could literally say was sharp. I'm trying to let somebody know that, hey, this hurts, but they had to keep going with this surgery because her heart rate was dropping. They had to get her out. So it was a very traumatic experience. I want to post her birth story on a totally different, that's a totally different video because her birth was crazy, guys. But so after going through the traumatic C-section, I just kind of shut down in the hospital. For our 4 to 5 day stay with my husband, I was moody, I was irritable, I was angry, I was very emotional. And I know that it's normal for a mother to sometimes be emotional after birth. Our hormones are fluctuating. We just gave birth, we just pushed out a baby or went through a surgery, so it can be, you know, emotional. But the way I was emotional, it was angry, it was hopeless, it was sad in that aspect. So after recovery, a nurse asked me, did I want to hold my baby? And I said no. And it is emotional. I said no. And that's something that I do regret to this day. And I was just, my husband gave me a look like, what? You know, and the nurse was also looking like, what? And I'm just like, well, what is everybody looking at? I just pushed out my baby. This lady is pushing down on my uterus. I'm still in pain. I don't want to hold this baby right now. But looking back on it, that's not normal. Usually this is a time where moms want to bond with their baby. They want to do skin to skin. They want to breastfeed. They want to take pictures. I didn't want any of that. And I didn't see the big deal at the time. But now looking back, that should have also been a sign like, why don't you want to hold your baby? Why don't you want to bond with your baby? So they also had a woman in the hospital come sit down in my room after I'm already crabby, after I'm already moody, and come talk to me about postpartum depression. I was not trying to hear anything she had to say. I'm like, she must be here for my husband because I'm fine. She must be here for him. So, you know, I ended up she was giving me hotline numbers and papers and pamphlets on it. I'm just like, I'm fine. You know, I'm fine. But I didn't realize, it finally hit me that I was going through postpartum depression when I began to have suicidal thoughts, or when I just began to feel like I didn't want to be here anymore. I just wasn't enjoying life. I wasn't enjoying motherhood. Nothing was enjoyable to me. I lost interest in my daily activities. And when I finally hit the point where I was suicidal after just having my baby, I reached out to somebody. And I just want to encourage you, if you're suicidal, if you're thinking about suicide, if you are discouraged, if you're feeling to the point where you're going to hurt yourself or harm your baby, please reach out to somebody that you know and that you actually trust with this information, that you know isn't going to, you know, exploit this information. But I reached out, and that was the turning point for me. When I actually reached out and talked to someone, my aunt was the one I reached out to, and she referred me to a friend who went through the postpartum depression. And so her friend shared with me that she was on antidepressants. I went to my OB and I tried the antidepressants. I didn't like them, so I just kind of put that to the side. I'm like, yeah, I would rather just try to naturally kind of, you know. But I'm not saying it's a bad thing, because if you need the antidepressants, please take them. They do make a world of a difference. But for me personally, at the time, I just didn't see the benefit of them. I didn't really like, you know, them. But I was on them with my second pregnancy with my son. So I'm going to make another video about that, about how the antidepressants helped me with my second pregnancy. But at the time, that just wasn't where I was at. But reaching out to someone was my turning point. It was the point where I felt free. I felt like I had a monkey off my back. I felt like now that somebody knows, I can open up, I can be free. But, you know, just make sure it's somebody that you trust, that you know and love. Now I'm going to share with you guys 5 signs that, you know, may indicate that you are someone, you know, maybe going through postpartum depression. The first sign is that you're not being able to bond with your baby. No matter what you do, you just don't feel the feelings of happiness. When I would breastfeed, I wasn't happy. When I would hold my baby, I wasn't happy. When I didn't want to take pictures, I didn't want to really do anything. I didn't find any enjoyment in motherhood, and that was a sign right there. You just can't bond with your baby. The second sign would be, not everybody knows this, but it's isolation. Isolation is a huge sign, and I know it's, normal for mommies to want that, time alone, that one-on-one time, the intimate time after they've just given birth with their baby alone, or maybe with their husband in the room or a select family member. We do want that intimate time before inviting people in, but it becomes a problem when you're isolating yourself for weeks and months after you gave birth. That indicates that you don't want to be around anybody. I know I was feeling down. I didn't want to be bothered. I wasn't, if you're not answering calls, if you're not answering texts, if you literally just sit in the house and you isolate yourself, you're not communicating with anybody, that's a sign that you may need to talk to somebody, because you're bottling everything up. And I did bottle a lot of things up, and I would explode on my husband, or I would, yell, I would cry, I would scream a lot, crying a lot more than usual, out of hopelessness or sadness, or, just these mood swings, being irritable. That's another sign, mood swings. Now, hormones do fluctuate once we have a baby. They go up and down after the birth, after having the baby in the birth process. Our hormones do fluctuate. We just gave birth. We just had a life taken out of us. It took a lot, out of us. So hormones and moodiness, maybe it's normal. But when you are perpetually angry, irritable, snappy, crying for no reason, like I would just cry and cry and cry at the craziest things. And it's not because I was emotional, it was because I felt hopeless. It was because I felt like alone. It was because I felt like I wasn't a good mom, like I couldn't do it. So if you notice that you're crying a lot more and you're having like tremendous mood swings that are not you, that's also a sign. Now, number 4 is kind of personal. It's kind of awkward to talk about, or maybe a little bit embarrassing, but your hygiene may start to suffer a little bit, and you don't take enjoyment out of doing daily activities. I know for myself, I'm just going to be real with you guys. I'm going to be transparent for the sake of helping another, young lady that may be out there struggling with this. I did start to slack in my hygiene. I just didn't have the motivation to shower every single day. I didn't care what I looked like. I stopped dressing up. I wore these ridiculous Crocs everywhere. Crocs are comfortable, but like I was wearing them to church, y'all. I was wearing Crocs to church. I was wearing Crocs with skirts. I didn't care what I looked like. I had spit up on my jeans. My tops probably were ripped, or if it had a hole in it, I didn't care. I didn't care how I looked. I just stopped taking enjoyment out of dressing myself up. I was just like, well, what's the point? Also, I wasn't taking care of my baby like I needed to. I wasn't taking care of my daughter like I knew I needed to. And I went over to my aunt's house, and it kind of offended me when she was like, yeah, I can give her a bath. And I was just like, what are you trying to say? I take care of my kids. She was like, yeah, she just has a little sticky, under her neck. It's kind of a little bit sticky. Like, basically, my baby needed to be cleaned up because she was dirty. And it wasn't intentional. Some people, you won't understand until you go through postpartum depression. Some people will judge you and may even judge me for this comment, but I couldn't even take care of myself. I was so far gone. I was always just thinking about getting through the day. My main goal was to make it through the day without breaking down or without screaming. It was just, I started slacking in my hygiene. I wasn't able to take care of my baby like I knew I should. I had no motivation. Daily activities, doing my hair, I didn't care about any of that. I just wanted to get through the day. So that's sign number 4, is you'll start to slack in your hygiene. So sign number 5, and the most obvious sign, and the most I would say detrimental sign is suicidal thoughts. If you are struggling with suicidal thoughts, and you're watching this video right now, I want you to go and talk to somebody. I want you to pick up the phone and call your, a family member. If you don't have a family member, please call a friend. If you don't have a friend, if you know somebody in the church, if you know a close coworker, and if you don't, know anybody that you can talk to, feel free to message me. I'll respond to your message. I know what it's like to feel hopeless. I know what it's like to feel like nobody cares. I know what it's like to feel like you're not the best mother in the world. I know how that feels, and not to want to be here anymore is not a good feeling. When you're just struggling emotionally and you begin to just think about taking your life, it's not a good feeling. So I just want to encourage you, if you have nobody to reach out to, you can reach out to me. If you can message me, if you just want to vent, if you need somebody to talk to, I'll be happy to respond or give advice, whatever the case may be. But you can also just message me. Now, there's also hotlines you can call and everything, but that is the biggest sign. When you begin to have suicidal thoughts, contact somebody immediately. I don't care if you feel like you're going to be embarrassed. I don't care if you feel like somebody's going to judge you. If you have the people, 9 times out of 10, the people that love you are not going to judge you. They're not going to think anything of it. They're just going to be having the safety of you and your child concerned. Like, they're going to be concerned for you. You're going to be on their mind. They're not going to be judging you. So yeah, those are the 5 signs. Now, I will give you some tips that really, really help me get through it. Number 1 is obviously to talk to someone. The minute I opened my mouth and the minute I actually got over my pride and I got over my embarrassment or shame and guilt, and the minute I reached out to somebody, I felt like a huge weight was lifted off my back. I felt like a sigh, like, of relief. Like, talk to somebody, express how you feel, don't bottle it up, or else you'll be exploding on you. You don't want to snap on your baby or anybody close to you. You want to talk to somebody that can help. Number 2 was I started getting out. I went outdoors. I got fresh air. Like, even if you don't have to get all cute to go outside and walk around your neighborhood. If you can't walk around your neighborhood, go to a park, or walk somewhere obviously safe. But make sure you get outside, you get some fresh air. It just did something to me to go outside and to smell the fresh air and to take a look around. Get outside of those 4 walls that you're sitting in, going crazy and depressed. Get outside, even if it's for, like, I would say maybe 15 minutes at the least. Get outside, see some greenery, go to your local grocery store. Get out and do something. That way you'll be outside of the same 4-wall environment that's causing you to be depressed. You need to get out there. Maybe someone will smile at you at the grocery store. Maybe, you'll come into contact with another mom that could encourage you. Get outside of those 4 walls, get some fresh air, and get outdoors. That's what really helped me too. Another one is accept help from people. Accept the help from people. Stop rejecting people's help. Stop having so much pride to where when somebody, a family member, offers you help, you're like, no, it's okay, I got it. No, you don't got it. No, you don't got it. If you had it, you wouldn't be sitting here suffering. Accept the help. That way you can get a break mentally, physically. Maybe take a nap. Maybe take a shower. Maybe do something that you like to do when somebody's helping you out with the baby, or maybe they'll help you with a chore. Just actually accept help from people, and don't be afraid to ask for help either. If they love you, if it's a friend or family member, if they love you, 9 times out of 10 they're gonna be like, girl, I was waiting on you to ask me for help. Girl, I've been waiting on you to say you needed help. I know you need help over there. So ask for help, and don't be afraid to accept it. Also, I began to dress up again, it took some time to get my confidence back, because after having a baby, we don't feel as great about our bodies. You know what I'm saying? We got this tummy, this stomach, we got this, we got that, this issue. So that was a gradual process for me, because honestly, that's something I always struggle with, was my self-image. So when I got pregnant, I just felt like I can never get it back. But it's a gradual process. I started to actually maybe wash my clothes when I go out. I stopped wearing stained clothes. I, put on a little mascara, put on a little lip gloss. Okay, honey, you are fine, okay? You don't have to look like what you feel like. Just because I felt down and depressed, just because I felt, like my self-esteem had taken a shot, or like I wasn't worth, I started to dress up. I say, you know what? I'm not going to let my feelings dictate to me how I'm going to look today. And I just began to take power back. Mascara here and there. Maybe I'll brush my hair today instead of looking like a chia pet. Brush your hair. Motivate yourself. Get yourself, if you look in the mirror and you say, I look good, that may actually influence your day. You feel good about yourself. You start to feel better. And the last thing that really, really helped me out was my faith in God, was my faith. Go to God in prayer. Pray. Ask people to pray for you. Like, hey, I don't know, what you may be doing right now, but I just need a bit of prayer. Can you help me out? And 9 times out of 10, the people that love you the most, the people that love you, they're not going to mind doing it. It's not an embarrassing thing, to ask for prayer. And I also began to read my word more. I began to encourage myself in the scriptures. I began to tell myself who I am. I stopped letting postpartum depression dictate to me who I was. I am not worthless. Hold on, but my Father's word says that, He knows the plans that He has for me. He has great plans for my life. I will not be suicidal. Everything that God breathes on, He gives life to. My life is not a mistake. My baby's life is not a mistake. And don't let the enemy trick you into thinking that you don't have a purpose. If you didn't have a purpose, you wouldn't be here. If your baby didn't have a purpose, they wouldn't be here. Don't let the enemy trick you into isolating yourself. That way you won't get the help you need. Make sure you begin to insert yourself in that word. And you begin to study what God's word says. I just can't even express enough to you what reading the Bible did for me, or uplifting quotes or uplifting scriptures. I stayed in my word. I combat every time I had a negative thought. I began to combat it. I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to sit here and think I'm a loser. I'm not going to sit here and think A, B, and C. And I began to uplift myself, So these are just things that help me out with my postpartum depression. And I just want to encourage you, if you're watching this video, and you have, like I said, if you have nobody to vent to, if you have nobody to talk to, you can always message me. I'll be happy to answer some questions or just, give advice. So I hope this video helped you in some way. If it did help you, please give it a thumbs up, like this video. Also subscribe to my channel. Next week, of course, I'm uploading every single Saturday. So next week, I'm going to have a part 2 to this video. But it's going to be my husband's perspective. He's going to be joining me and telling you guys just his perspective on what it was like dealing with me going through the postpartum depression. We're going to have a male perspective on, how it was in the marriage and just dealing with the postpartum. So yeah, subscribe, hit that bell button, and be in tune. I'll see you guys next week. Thank you for watching. I love you guys. Bye.